Charity isn't working. Now, hear me out. Those of you that are keyboard warriors, make sure you get your stretches in first. Okay, good stuff. Now, I'm going to tell you why and also offer you a solution. My first experience of charity came about in the mid-80s, hearing and listening to the song from Live Aid. If you're unaware, it was a fundraiser created in just a few months to raise money for the Ethiopia famine in the mid-80s. It was an admirable effort led by Bob Geldof in association with some legendary singers and bands. They raised £40 million that night, which was the equivalent to around £100 million of today's money. As a child, I remember thinking, if we continue charity as with fundraisers such as Comic Relief and National Lottery, I had hoped that by the time I became an adult, that things like world hunger and most of the world's problems would have been eradicated. Sadly, that's not the case. Here now I understand that no matter how many millions of pounds have been funded to help, the troubles are still there. Listen, I'm not arguing against the fact that they have helped. However, unfortunately, money alone isn't enough. 40 years have passed since Live Aid and other charities have been pumping money into causes. I ask difficult questions, and the most difficult question to ask is, are charities failing? Or even worse, is the system actually failing? I'm not here to criticize these causes to the core, as I understand their creative intentions are noble. But when you have only 1 to 3% of actual donated funds going directly to the cause, I have to ask difficult questions. I'm a sports fan. Let's look at football, for example. If we look at Manchester City Football Club, the amount of investment every year that goes into that club, if they had not won any trophies, then the investment would be branded as a failure, right? Now, if we look at charities, the amount of donations placed on a yearly basis, if they had not eradicated the problem, then to me, the system has failed. Again, it does not mean their intentions are not noble. However, something has to change. It's obvious to me the way charities are being run to this present day is not working. In fact, I don't think they've been working for years. I'm not digging out all charities. I volunteered for Crisis to help the homeless in the UK, and they did great stuff. There are only a few charities, unfortunately, doing wonderful things. Nonetheless, a lot of the problems still exist, perhaps have even gotten worse. And with the percentages I've just mentioned, I believe there is a lot of unnecessary expenditure. I'm here because I want to provide a new alternative. I want to make a difference ever since I watched Live Aid. Their intentions were to raise awareness as well as accept donations, which can be just as valuable, otherwise I guess I wouldn't be here. I'm here because I want to start a charity, a transparent charity, where instead of only 1, 2, 3% of actual donated funds going to the cause, my aim is to at least get it to 80% going directly to the cause. Cutting out marketing, extortionate bonuses, rent, stock market interest, and any form of corruption. Some have even been accused of sexual exploitation and fraud. Of course, in reality, things such as transporting goods, hiring equipment will have to be considered. That's why I predict around 20% will be needed. It's a far cry though from 95% going to outside costs. And as everything is transparent, you can have peace of mind that your donations are going to the right place.
Living in this crazy world, so caught up in the confusion, nothing isn't making sense for me and you. But maybe if we find a way, there's got to be a solution. How to make a brighter day. What do we do? We've got to give a little love, have a little hope. Let's make this world a little better. Try a little more, harder than before. Let's do what we can do together. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Only we can make it better. Whoa, only if we try.
I consider myself a philanthropist, animal lover, and I care about environmental issues. This is me doing my bit in a direct manner. I'm not waging a war with anyone. This is me theorizing and putting into practice a system that may work or it may not. I'm not going to be living my life thinking, what if? Hopefully I'll galvanize people together, which we should be, as most of the world's problems are man-made. It's led with greed, power hunger, and corruption that has no place in today's world.
Maybe we can find a good reason to send a child off to war. So what if we're controlling all the oil? Is it worth a child dying for?
Listen, pay painful watching the news. We all see the problems and the suffering that is man-made through dirty politics and corruption. On my own, if I make a person's day, that means something to me. Together, though, I feel as though we can really make a difference to protect animals, improve the environment, and lend a hand to people who are facing difficulties.
You hear the night he pretended he was God?
No.
Okay, Richard Pryor walks into the room, and he walked up on stage, and he was quiet for a minute. He goes, "I'm God." And they were giggling because it's Pryor. And he said, "I'm here to pick up my son." Has anybody seen him? He's wearing this robe thing and he's got a beard, like little Jesus. And I told him I'd pick him up now. And he looks at somebody in the front row and he goes, "What was done to my son? What did you people do to my son?" And he just starts screaming because he comes to the realization that his son was crucified. And then when he regains his composure, he goes, "All right, let me talk to somebody else that was crucified." And he goes, "Well, where is he?" He keeps going down this litany of people and he goes, "All right, I need to talk to Martin Luther King. Bring me Martin right now." And he goes, "What did you do to Martin?" "Kennedy. I need to talk to Kennedy." And then he's just standing on stage. He goes, crying. He's just screaming. He goes, "My son, the apostles, Kennedy." The audience is standing there like, remember, this is the 70s, with their jaws just dropping. People in the audience are crying. And he just puts out his hand and he goes, "You're on your own." And he walked out of the room. And I remember just sitting there and everybody's just crying and all you can hear is sniffing.
Consider me like a tiny vessel that people can use to help each other directly. Every contribution will be displayed, and as I mentioned before, at least 80% of contributions will directly go to the issues at hand, not 1 or 2 or 3%, as a lot of these multi-million, if not billion companies templates work under. This is my pledge, and I'm happy to be challenged if I don't meet what I stand by. Okay, a little bit about me so you can understand my mindset. If I had all the money in the world, having 20 supercars, a mansion with like 10 bedrooms, 500k watch on my wrist, that serves no purpose to me. I'm not interested in flexing. I don't search for status. I'm more than happy with the blessings that I've received that no money in the world can buy, and that is family and close friends, that I consider family anyway.
I don't have friends, I got family.
For me, what excites me is building a well, building a school, buying a kid a bike that they can cycle to school, building communities, educating against crime, animal welfare, supporting the environment. This is where I think huge investment should go. I don't need abundance of things or excess money for me or my future. People close to me will benefit much more with who I am rather than what I have. The hope that we can build a world without distrust so that we can get along. Look, I come from a background where your name means something. Honor means something to you. It's not about fucking over your fellow man for a quick buck.
Because this world is such a, and when I say this world, I mean it. I don't mean in an ideal sense. I mean in every day, every little thing you do. It's such a, gimme, gimme, gimme. Everybody back off. Everybody's like, you taught that from school, everywhere. Big business. If you want to be successful, you want to be like Trump, gimme, 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 push, 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 step, 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 crush, crush, crush. And if there's a white person who got money, then you need to help him. He need to help black kids, Mexican kids, Korean kids, whatever. But it needs to be real. And it need to be before we all die, and then you say, "Oh, I made a mistake. We should have gave them some money. We really should have helped these folks." It's going to be too late. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when you got to pay your own karma. And that's when God make you punish. When God punishes you. Because I feel like, it's too much money here. I mean, nobody should be hitting lotto for 36 million and we got people starving in the streets. That is not idealistic. That's just real. That is just stupid. There's no way Michael Jackson should have, or whoever Jackson, should have $1 million, $1 billion, and then there's people starving. There's no way. There's no way that these people should own planes and their people don't have houses, apartments, shacks, drawers, pants. I know you're rich. I know you got $40 billion, but can you just keep it to one house? You only need one house. And if you only got 2 kids, can you just keep it to 2 rooms? I mean, why have 52 rooms and there's somebody with no room? It just don't make sense to me. It don't.
When I meet people, I'd be proud that I may have added some small value to their lives in a positive way. As I enter communication with my fellow man, I represent my name and my background, thus the consequences of my actions and how I end or continue a relationship is paramount to what my name and my background stands for. Leaving someone shortchanged or deceived in any way would leave my conscience in disarray, as I have not represented my family name or my people well. I would have essentially let them down. I'm a bit nervous about posting this video for a number of reasons. Firstly, I've been filming the entire process from the obtaining the donations to distributing the kindness. The filming will be real and raw, so if you're particular with perfect edits and scripted acting, you won't find it here. Nothing is going to be staged, unlike most things these days on social media. Secondly, my faith in humanity. I'm going to be honest with you, it's running thin. Littering, for example, how is that still a problem in today's world? How can we expect our governments to do the right thing? We can't even put our rubbish in the fucking bin. I've pulled people up on this, and do you know what their response is? Oh, I'm giving someone a job. Well, in that case, with that mindset, maybe I should bring a girl in front of you. That way I can keep therapists busy. That doesn't make sense to me. By the way, I wouldn't advocate that response unless you know how to handle yourself or you're a good sprinter.
But we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. No, we're never gonna survive unless we are a little crazy. Yellow people walking through my head. One of them's got a gun to shoot the other one. And yet together they were friends at school. If all were there when we first took the pill, then baby, miracles will happen as we speak. Never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy.
Right, moving on. My aims. I'm aiming this as a fundraiser and hopefully it'll grow from there depending on the backing. As it's personal to me, we're starting with the Aid Ethiopia and also Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital as our first fundraiser. We'll be happily accepting clothes or children's toys, and any equity will be put towards food and transporting the goods. The food and clothes will be sent to Ethiopia, which I'll be visiting in spring 2025. The donated toys will be delivered to Children's Hospital in December of this year. If the backing is there and the support, our next fundraiser will put to a poll where we can all decide and make a choice on it. It could be down to animal welfare, humanitarian aid, dealing with environmental issues. I'll also be training for a boxing match, and the fight will be either spring or summer of next year. You can keep up to date with my training, and the exact date you'll be notified by it. It'll be a white collar event, which will also be for charity. So you're welcome to come to the event, and I'll let you know when it is, and you can either support me or even the opponent for that matter. Please be careful though, as I can see my methods potentially open a door for scumbags to try their luck on good-willed people. Perhaps there might be a lot of fake accounts with the intent of fraudulent behaviour or an attempt to gain followers, so please be vigilant. On the positive, if charities begin to copy my template or adjust their practices for the better, then I'm more than happy to disappear into oblivion. I'm not looking for attention or fame in any way. My purpose is to help others and hopefully put a smile on people's faces that will give them some strength to face current challenges. Our charity welcomes you with positivity, the inside look of how a little help can go a long way. It's not inviting you with heavy guilt. And sadly, with the internet, the intense use of social media is attempting to desensitize us with the overwhelming use of tragic video clips and in many cases misinformation. Unfortunately, we all know what heartache, tragedy and suffering looks like. It's not to blame or fault with the everyday man. These clips or videos should be at the front door of the instigators to view on a daily basis.
Thousands fell victim to the infected blood scandal across Europe, America and Japan. What was different was how other countries responded, how authorities moved to investigate and in some cases prosecute the people and institutions to blame much, much earlier. In France, the former head of the country's blood transfusion service was jailed for 4 years in 1992 for knowingly distributing AIDS-infected blood products to patients. 7 years later, France's former Prime Minister, Laurent Fabius, was also charged with manslaughter, although later acquitted. But even as the extent of the scandal was unfolding in the UK, the response was often one of denial and disregard. When the chief medical officer advised the British government in 1989 that it should compensate thousands of victims for what he called the unique catastrophe, the then Health Secretary Ken Clarke rejected the request because of the cost. Des Collins is a solicitor who's represented and advised around 1,500 victims and their families.
I think the government of the day in this country, this was just the end of the Maggie Thatcher era, which was a very different time from where we are now. The government of the day took one look across the channel and said, that's not going to happen here, so we'll cover it up.
The United States knows that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. The UK knows that they have weapons of mass destruction. Any country on the face of the earth with an active intelligence program knows that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction,
which could be activated within 45 minutes, including against his own Shia population.
The choice is his, and if he does not disarm, the United States of America will lead a coalition and disarm him in the name of peace.
In London on Saturday, the British government held an emergency meeting to discuss the horsemeat crisis. It has emerged a French firm, Spanghero, supplying horsemeat passed off as beef to British shops, was at the centre of a major E. coli scare 20 months ago. The bacteria can cause potentially fatal food poisoning. It is one of 2 French companies under investigation. Who is at fault? Who defrauded whom? In the light of the investigation, and once we have the conclusions, then we will have to take sanctions. Comigel is the other French company under investigation. It supplied beef infected with horsemeat to several European countries.
We don't know where the horses have come from, or if they've died naturally or of disease. We don't know anything. They just put it in and expect everybody else to take it and eat it.
Finally, as mentioned, anyone kind enough to offer their aid with us enters with love, not guilt. I want the experience to be uplifting, leaving you with a positive feeling that you've directly made a difference, even with a small donation. I'm going to leave comments open for discrepancies. If you would like to remain anonymous with your donation, feel free to add any name if you want, or any equity for that matter that you've kindly donated. If you're interested in donating, or you want to understand how collection and deliveries work, or even if you want to volunteer for that matter, any queries at all, feel free to DM me. We aim to create bonds, unbreakable bonds. You can track your aid because with every deed, when it comes to charity, we believe in transparency. Thanks for your time and listening. I wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
Hit him with a little ghetto gospel.
Those who wish to follow me,
My ghetto gospel.
I welcome with my hands. And the red sun sings to last into the hills of gold. And peace to this young warrior without the sound of guns.
If I could recollect before my hood days, I sit and reminisce, think of the bliss of the good days. I stop and stare at the younger, my heart goes to them. They tested with stress that they under, and nowadays things change. Everyone's ashamed of the youth, cause the truth look strange. And for me it's reverse, we left them a world that's cursed, and it
I'll be hunting time for nothing. Don't it make you get teary? The world looks dreary. When you have your eyes, see it clearly. There's no need for you to fear me. If you take your time to hear me, baby, you can learn to cheer me. It ain't about black or white, cause we're human. I hope we see the light before it's ruined. My ghetto gospel.
Those who wish to follow me,
ghetto gospel,
I welcome with my hands. And the red sun sinks last into the hills of gold. And peace to this young warrior without the sound of guns.
Tell me, do you see that old lady? Ain't it sad? Living out of bags, plus is glad for the little things she has. And over there, there's a lady, got her crazy. Yes, it's giving birth to a baby. I don't trip and let it fade me. From out of the frying pan, we jump into another form of slavery. Even now I get discouraged. Wonder if they take it all back. Well, I still keep the courage. I refuse to be a role model. I say ghost, take control, drink out my own bottles. I make mistakes, but learn from everyone. And when it's said and done, I bet this brother be a better one. If I upset you, don't stress. Never forget that God isn't finished with me yet. I feel his hand on my brain when I write rhymes. I go blind and let the Lord do his thing.